Hello, Daz Studio patrons. This is Not From This World, and I want to welcome you back to my tutorial channel. Now, I've had a really busy week, so I haven't been able to do a lot of research and create a tutorial per se, but I did have a question from one of my subscribers that I'd like to talk about a little bit today. Now, the question comes from Indigo Game Studio. And he says, thanks for a great video again. This is on my last video. Then he says, I have a suggestion. I see you quickly searching in your assets database. Can you make a video how you would set up your database with your assets? Ordering and other tips about your database asset setup. I can never find what I'm looking for. This takes me a long time and I wish there was a faster way. Well, Indigo, I have demonstrated some of these techniques in some previous videos, but they're all mixed up. And so I did think it might be good to just kind of put everything together and show you how I do organize Daz Studio. And I've got to tell you, this is a little bit of a concern for me because I want to move Daz Studio from my C drive to my E drive, and I know I'm going to be kind of starting over because Daz Studio is sort of a pain with this, but I do want to show you kind of at least how I manage Daz Studio. So coming back to Daz, I've got Milika set up. I just thought I'd give you a quick scene with her because she's just so cute. How can we not have her in the video? But she is going to help me show you how I organize things. Now, first of all, I do have to say that most of the assets and scripts and Daz Studio itself, I have just uploaded onto my computer, onto the C drive, which I'm regretting right now, but at the time I did not have a secondary drive that was bigger. So Daz Studio itself is on the C drive, and you can find where your products are by going to Edit and then down to Preferences. Once you're in Preferences, go to Content and then hit the Content Directory Manager, and you're going to get this tree that's going to show you where all of your products are. Now, I have a lot of folders that I use because what I've done is I've separated my content into groups to try and keep them organized, and I'll show you that in a minute. But if we go to the Daz Studio formats, you're going to see I have all these files, and some of them are C drive. Now, this is where I'd love to move these to my E drive. I also have quite a bit of folders. You can see right here. These folders are on my D drive. And I'll show you how I do this. It's really easy. You can see my C drive has my initial Daz Studio library, and a lot of the applications that I use, such as Mesh Grabber and Render Queue, a lot of the scripts are going to be unfortunately on my C drive. The way that I organize is actually by using these preference tabs. We'll get back to that in a minute. But let's look at my computer just for a moment. And you can see right here, I have my E drive showing. And when I get a new product or I buy a new product, I'm going to load it in to my E drive. So for example, I have a lot of products in this folder that I just created called a Daz prop zip file. And if I click on that, I've kind of archived a lot of products, and I can download manually these products into my E drive. So for example, let's just choose one of these. These are RAR files or zip files. And, that's how you can get them from Daz Studio or Renderosity or something like that. So I have these different products. So I'm just going to open up my close file, and let's just choose something like, I'll choose this Carla dress. And I'm going to manually install this Carl address to my E drive. And so to do that, I just right click the RAR file and go to open. This opens up a tab where I can just extract it, and it's going to extract it right into the same file that the RAR file was. So once I have that, you usually just kind of scroll down and you can see it right here. So what's cool is the product is going to show you a picture. So this is the picture of the Carl address. And then it has two zip files. One is the product and then the other one are templates. We're not going to worry about the templates, but I'm going to open up the dress folder and I'm going to copy these folders into my E drive. So I'm just going to select the data, the people, and the runtime, and I'm going to go to my E drive, and under my Daz Studio folder file, I'm going to open that up, and I have created a G8 clothing file. And all I have to do is take this and drag it into the clothing file, and it's going to copy it into the clothing file. It's still going to be in the clothes file, so I can always go back and use it or copy it again. So it's there, or I can now delete it. So if I don't want this anymore because it's now in my other folder, I can just highlight it and delete that product. Now I can go to my E drive, open up my Daz Studio file folder, and under clothing, it's going to be right there. If you do this a lot, which I've added a lot of products to these folders, this folder actually, this is the first thing I've added. So if I go to people, Genesis 8 clothing, we're going to see that this is a product from Bubble Cloud. So I'm going to have to look for that in Daz Studio. Now we can go back to Daz Studio, and if I go into the folder here that says Daz Studio formats, I can scroll through all of my Daz Studio formats, and the file that I actually put the dress in isn't in Daz yet. So to get it into Daz Studio, what I have to do is go back to that Preference tab. So I'm going to go Edit, Preferences, and then go back to Content, go to the Content Directory Manager, select my Daz Studio formats, go to Add. Then I can go to my E drive where that folder was, and this is my G8 clothing folder. I can just select that, hit select folder, and now it's going to be in my content sets in these folders. So if I scroll down, see it's right here at the very bottom. It says Daz Studio folder G8 clothing. I just hit accept, hit apply, and then hit accept again. And now if I use my Daz Studio formats, I have all these folders, but at the bottom here, I've got my clothing folder right here. If I click on this clothing folder, go to people, Genesis 8 female, clothing, and here's the Bubble Cloud. There's a whole string that I have to click of files, but here is now the Carl address. So I could put this Carl address now onto Milica. Now you can see I have a ton of folders, and this becomes a major pain in the butt to try and find stuff. And this is what Indigo was talking about, how he can't find the things that he has put onto his computer. Now, what I have done, I have made a category folder here where I can organize my stuff. So these folders here under the Daz Studio formats folder, it just contains all of my content. So you can see, for example, these folders have clothing, poses, hair, characters, props, animations, all that stuff. Well, these are just holding the products. What I can do is I can organize them into my own folders, and that's what I've done here. This makes things a lot easier to find, although I have to say it's not perfect. It does make things a lot easier to find. Now, we can create this by just right-clicking on the category, and then it just says create a subcategory. So if I hit that, I can just name it whatever I want. So for example, I have creatures, dungeons, environments, interiors, lights and shaders, people, props, scenes, those kind of things I've made a folder for. So when I go to that folder, so for example, if I want a G8 character, I made all of my G8 characters under people. So if I click on people, I've created a bunch of subfolders just by right clicking, create a subcategory. That's just how you do it. And I have an entire set of folders for Genesis 8. So if I look at Genesis 8, I have accessories, anatomy, characters, clothes, expressions, hair, makeup, and poses. So you can just keep creating subcategories. So I just created these subcategories under Genesis 8. And then, let's say for clothes, I have created more subcategories. So I have, well, some I need to move, but you can see I have like intimates, like, lingerie and things like that. I have modern clothing, medieval clothing, sci-fi clothing, pants and jeans, tops, dresses and skirts. I've just kind of organized my content in this way. Now, what's cool is we can take our new dress, this Carla dress, and we can select this folder that just says Carla dress, right click on it, and then go to create a category from, and then hit selected folder and subfolders. We click on that, and then we can choose where we want to put it. So for this case, I'm going to click people, go to Genesis 8 female, go to my clothing folder, and then this is a dress. So let's put it under dresses and skirts and just hit accept. Now, I can access it either through this G8 clothing folder that I initially put it in, or I can find it under the folder I just organized it in. Now, once you move it, you should just be able to go to the dresses, and it's right here, this Carla dress. So see, I have all these different dresses for Milica, and here's my Carla dress. So now it's right here available, and all of its subfolders, so it has different colors and that kind of thing. It's all organized as well. So this is how I organize my Daz Studio content. The more and more you add, the more you want to try and keep things organized, and I understand that. I do want to show you one more thing that is very handy, and I did point this out in a different video. I can't remember which video it was, but there is a simple way to search, and this is really cool as well, is probably know you have a search bar right here in your content library. So let's say we want to put gloves on Milica. I don't know where gloves are. Gloves are one of those really specific things that I don't have a category for. So I'm just going to type in gloves. All right, so now I have gloves. I just hit enter, and we're going to start getting all the gloves that I have in my content. Now, this is pretty cool because I can scroll down them. It takes a minute for them to load. You can see it's taking a minute to load, but I've got a lot of gloves here. And so we can just kind of scroll down. Now, the trick is the search, when you do this under your content library, is simply going to show every glove that you have in your content. And you can't just, unfortunately, like if I want these gloves on Milica, a lot of times I just can't click on this and get the gloves to work because they could be materials, they could be the actual DUF, the DUF file, but a lot of times we're just going to be looking at textures or something. So there is another easy way. If I want to add these gloves to Milica, I can right click and find their original file source. So I just go down to where it says show asset in, and then if I go down to mapped folder, and click on that, it's going to show me where in my file folders I have this product. And so this is a pretty 3D product, basic corset lingerie set. So I can now click on that and you can see we have all of these products and we have the original product that we can add to our character. So see, now I can select Milica and I can add the gloves because it's the wardrobe. So I can now click on it and she now has these gloves. Now let's look and see if they have a purple version of these gloves. That would be nice. So we'll go to materials. Doesn't look like they have purple, unfortunately. So I might be able to select these gloves in my scene tab, go to surfaces. Let's just check it out. So the base, everything looks black. So I'm just gonna change this to a purple. Let's see, I don't know, we'll just choose a basic purple, and there we go. So now she has purple gloves. Pretty cool. But this trick of being able to right click, go to show asset in, and then select where the folder is will take you into the actual product. And then you can look at it, and if you're like, man, I gotta make a new category, I can take this basic lingerie set, right click it, go to create a category from, select the folder and subfolders, and then I can make sure I have it in my intimates tab under my G8 females clothes. And so you can organize your entire library this way. Now, I will admit that I have so much stuff that it is hard to organize, but if you have a smaller library and you just take the time to organize, it's going to make things a lot easier as you go. Just organize things as you go. I know I should totally practice what I preach. I didn't really do that, and so I have the trouble of not finding things either. By the way, if you have this big chain of folders that's annoying you, just go up to the top, right click, and just hit refresh, and it'll just collapse all of your folders. And then you can see this is my categories folder. So if I open it up, my categories folder is broken into different folders that I use a lot. So creatures, I make a lot of sci-fi things. Dungeons, I make a lot of medieval things. Then I have environments. So those would be like large scenes, like big open spaces. I have interiors. So like the interiors of buildings and stuff, like the inside of Milica's apartment, things like that. Then I have lights and shaders. Then I have my people. I have various props and then scenes. So these are just my categories. You can name them however you want. You can organize them however you want. But I just found this a lot easier to do. And then, of course, a lot of the things that if I just use Daz Studio download manager, it's going to put things into these products folder. So the products folder, and I'm sure you've seen it, has all of this stuff. So if you just select something, like if I select J here, I can easily just right click and we can go to the create a category from, and you can add it wherever you want. So this is a Japanese style dining set. I would put that into perhaps either a prop folder or my interiors folder. So I hope this helps you. I feel like I have a mess in my content library, and if I could ever get caught up with all of my commissions and comics, I might just take a month off of doing things and just reinstall Daz Studio, put it on my E drive, and then just organize much better. I'm a little afraid to do that though. It's going to result in a lot of downtime that I don't really care for. I basically use this program every day or every several days, and thinking about a couple weeks of downtime as I reorganize is very daunting. So I just kind of limp along and try and organize as I go. But anyway, I hope this helps you. Please let me know what you think about this. How do you organize? Do you have a better way? And I'm sure everyone that watches my videos would love to hear your opinion. Okay, that's going to do it for this Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give me those comments. And above all, happy rendering.